Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and today we're continuing the top 100 board games of all time, 2022 edition. These are numbers 80 through 71. Now, all these games on this list today are going to be rated 8s on the BGG rating scale. This means that they're very good games. I'll like to play them a lot, and I'll suggest them, and I'm never ever going to turn down a game of these. So all these games are absolutely fantastic. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the list. My number 80 is going to Boonlake, an action selection system game where on your turn you're going to be picking one of these large tiles on this board here. After you pick that tile, you get to play a project card of the associated color or discard some for cash, and then use a special action that's going to allow you to either put out pieces on this main game board here, get some scoring actions in, or maybe play more cards or draw more cards. You have lots of different choices here with the tile that you take, but then you'll also get to feed everybody else some sort of bonus action in addition to yourself, which is pretty dang cool. It's a very satisfying game to play as all of these actions feel great when you take it, and you're always engaged because you get to do something on the other player's turns. In addition, after you choose your tile, based on how high that tile is, you'll get to move on this river, on the Boonlake, and then you'll get all sorts of different bonuses based on where you land. I really like this system of the game, and my favorite part about this game is actually the lever system. You'll have all of these small little levers in front of you, and you can use them at any time or when appropriate to gain some sort of bonus action. It feels very satisfying to get these cumulative actions, and every time you use them, it just increases your efficiency. I love the way this works. I also really like the way that the pieces come off your board, and every time something comes off, it stays off, and that's just going to get you continuous income, whether it be points or cash. I also love the project cards. There's just a lot to like about this game, and pretty much every action you take is satisfying. So that's my number 80, Boonlake. My number 79 is going to Air, Land, and Sea, a battle line style game where you're going to be fighting over 3 different theaters of war. In each of these theaters of war, you'll be playing cards based on their color, and you're trying to win 2 out of the 3 by the end of everybody playing all their cards. Now, here's the twist in the game. It's not just trying to get those majorities, but you can also pull out of the battle. As soon as you decide that, hey, I don't think I'm going to win this, you can leave, and the person who would normally win is going to win still, but get less points than they would if you would have played all your cards. This is such a fantastic concept that works extremely well here, and my favorite part about this game are the cards themselves. I love the way that they all have special abilities and powers, they vary in values, and I also love that you can always flip a card face down in order to use it for its air, land, and sea side, which means it's 2 strength anywhere. There are some really cool interactions between the cards, some allowing you to reflip, some allowing you to remove cards, or some bolstering those face down cards. There's a lot of really cool interactions with all of the different venues of war, as well as just the cards in general. I think these are extremely well done, and it's just one that I really enjoy playing, and then one that I do ask to play quite a bit. So fantastic game. That's my number 79, Air, Land, and Sea. My number 78 is going to the game When I Dream. This is a party-style game of hidden roles and trying to get someone to guess a word. In this game, you'll have someone be the dreamer. They'll wear a mask, and everybody else will be some type of mystical being, whether it be a boogeyman trying to confuse the dreamer, or the fairy who's trying to help the dreamer guess words. So they'll be giving out clues and trying their best in order to make sure that that dreamer is answering the correct things by feeding them clues. It's such a unique system, and I love the way that it works. Now, my favorite part about this game is actually how the roles work. So you have the boogeyman who are trying to confuse, and the fairy who's trying to help guide. There's also a third role in there, the Sandman, who's trying to get a little bit of each. So it's up to the dreamer to try to decide who is each role as they're getting clues and information and decide who to trust. This is such a cool system, and I love the way that it works. But the big thing here that I think works extremely well is at the end of every round, you actually are going to reshuffle the roles, and everybody is going to get a new role. And I love this. A lot of times in social deduction games like this, you'll get a role and feel like, oh man, I'm going to be this one the whole game. In this one, it is not the case. You are consistently changing what you're doing each round, and I love that. You are either the dreamer or you're getting a random roll out of those affixed sets. I love this, and I love the way that the clues are given and how clever you have to be to do well. Such a fantastic game. That's When I Dream, my 56 last year, but my 78 this year. Coming in at 77 this year, it was 76 last year, this is Atlantis Rising 2nd Edition. This is a game where you play cooperatively, trying to flee Atlantis before it sinks completely. You're going to do this by placing your different agents onto the board, and after revealing some event cards and flooding parts of the island, anybody that's left on the board that didn't get drowned is going to be able to perform actions. You're going to be gathering resources, drawing these library cards, as well as repopulating and getting people to join your cause, and hopefully carefully doing your best to create these components that will allow you to leave the area. Now, my favorite part about this game are the components themselves. Every time you go to this board here, you're allowed to pay some resources to build part of the machine, and this machine is going to allow you to leave. However, in addition to that, you're also going to get some sort of special ability, whether it be an instant effect or a space that you can actually visit in the future by placing your characters onto this machine. What a fantastic idea, and the way that the game scales in difficulty is they make the components more expensive, but that gives you some really cool machines that have even more abilities. So I really like the way that it changes based on the play and based on the difficulty that you're trying to attempt. It's so well done. The art is beautiful. I just love the way that this can play from 1 all the way up to, I think it's 7 people, extremely well cooperatively. This is a fantastic system with very powerful rolls, great pinches of luck, and I think that it makes for a very tense cooperative experience that scales extremely well difficulty-wise and player-wise. I love the artwork. I can't say that enough. It's just such an amazing thing. Put on the Atlantis soundtrack while you play. Incredible experience. That's my number 77, Atlantis Rising 2nd Edition. My number 76 goes to The Gallerist, a game of high-end art where you play as a curator for your own gallery. You're going to be doing your best to collect paintings for that gallery, to support artists and get them into the industry, to publicize those artists, and then make money off of them. My favorite part about this game is how the theme and the iconography lead to understanding the complex connections between the actions of the game. Almost all of the actions are tied to a set of 8 symbols that are very clear and easy to stand. You have tickets, which move people, you have the people, which can buy things, you have fame, which will get you extra actions, and then you have money, which is the currency of the game. You also have all these other little things that tie in, but they work thematically well. You have the likes, which represent the social media statuses. You have different areas and different bonus actions that are tied to the other actions on the board, and everything just fits so cleanly in the overarching theme. I think this is such an approachable, deep, heavy strategy game, but it remains to be one that is still consistently fun and exciting to pull out. There's lots of bonus actions here and there that you get a lot of agency to activate, and it feels super satisfying when you're getting to play pretty much all the time. So that is The Gallerist, my number 76. My number 75 is Arboretum. This was my number 60 last year, and it is a hand management tableau building card game where you're going to be planting trees into your own personal arboretum. You're going to do this by placing them in front of you, always attached to another tree, and creating a line from 1 to 8, hopefully, by the end of the game of either different colors or a mix match or all the same. You get points based on how you do it. Now, the coolest thing here, and my favorite part about the game, is the hand management, because at the end of the game, you are only going to score the trees in which you happen to have the most of that specific color for. For example, I'm not going to score these gray trees unless I have the most gray trees in my hand at the end of the game. And I love this mechanism because your hand is so limited, and not only are the cards in your hand what you're actually going to be playing from, but every time you play your turn, you're going to be drawing 2 cards, playing one in front of you, and discarding one into a discard pile. So you consistently have this choice of, do I offer this card that I'm discarding to everybody else? Am I playing a card or holding onto a card just to prevent others from having it? How am I advancing my game state while also utilizing my discard pile? This is such a fantastic tense choice put into a very simple game that is easy to table. I think this game plays great at all player counts, and it adds for a lot of fascinating and very exciting tension. A wonderful experience with a very simple rule set. That's my number 75, Arboretum. My number 74 goes to Etherfields, a dream crawling game where you're going to be going from event to event, experience to experience, and exploring what it has to offer. The main mechanism of the game is deck building, and you're going to be constructing a deck of cards that you'll either buy from a market or actually collect from the dreams that you experience. And that's my favorite part about this game, are the dreams. I love that when you go into a new place, the dreams are self-contained. You'll have an envelope that tells you what your objective is, and it may be a little vague, but you'll kind of explore and understand it as you play. And you'll have a packet of cards that represent the locations you'll be experiencing, the items available at that location, and that's it. You pull them out, and that's your pool that you're pulling from. You're not having to do this gigantic filing system of finding specific cards or reading events. It's all there, and I love how it's done. It works extremely well. Each dream feels very unique, and I love the puzzle that each of them presents. I also really love the thematics that are involved, and getting a card from a dream and using it later after you've added it to your deck is so fun because it allows you to recall back to what what you did, and it could become something really cool that is something that you continue to use in future games. This is a game that I'm always excited to play, and I cannot wait until the next expansions come out so that we can play more of it, because this is a campaign style game, so you can either restart it or continue where you left off when that new stuff comes in. So super excited to get more Etherfields and explore more dreams. In addition to the new stuff being released, there's also new ways to play the game. You can remove the slumber phase completely so you can just focus on the dreams, and that leaves a lot to explore with this system. Etherfields is a unique dream crawling experience that I can't wait to play more of. So that's my number 74, Etherfields. My number 73 is for a whole series of games, and that's the That's Pretty Clever or Ganshan Clever line of games. These are roll and writes where on your turn you're going to be rolling dice, picking one of those dice to use to play a minigame on your personal board, and then every die that's lower than the one you picked is going to go onto this silver platter here. Now that silver platter will become available for all the other players to pick from at the end of the round, and it also reduces the dice pool that you get to pick from in future actions. I love this tension between, do I take a very strong action now and have limited options later, or vice versa? Do I take a super small, weak action but have lots of options later? It's a great choice, and I think it's done extremely well. Now, my favorite part about this game, though, is the satisfaction that you get from playing the different mini-games. A lot of these mini-games will offer you little bonus actions that allow you to play in the other games. You're constantly getting bonus after bonus, and it's such a satisfying experience. The line itself has 3 currently, with 3 iterations of the game, where all of the mini-games have been changed, and you have lots of new bonuses that are being added, and some of them are just really, really fun and interesting. My favorite one, actually, is probably the most recent one, the 3rd edition. It offers a new bonus action that allows you to set dice to specific numbers, which allows you to create some really interesting combos. I really like the way this whole package works, and it's a game that we are running out of sheets on. I think we only have like 2 left on the original one, so good thing we laminated a couple copies, because you're going to need it for this one. So that is my number 73, That's Pretty Clever, or Thrice as Clever, or Clever Cubed, or whatever they're all called, Dopplet So Clever, Twice as Clever, all of them amazing. That's 73, That's Pretty Clever. My number 72 goes to Imperial Settlers Empires of the North. This came in at 51 last year, and is a game where you take a faction from these Empires of the North, and you're going to be doing your best to collect cards, play cards, and use all sorts of abilities as you explore and exploit your special abilities of your faction. Now, my favorite part about this game are the factions. I love how different each deck is with the way that they work, and how they use the systems that are present in the game. The systems in the game are pretty fantastic. You have cards that produce resources when you play them, and when you take the harvest action, you can pick those to reproduce resources. There's an island board where you can go send people to go sail, and then there's also this really great action wheel system where you'll be putting pawns to take additional bonus actions in addition to the actions from the cards that you'll be playing. I love this system as it's super clean and allows for a lot of creativity with the different faction abilities. You have some that allow you to create foundations, some that store cards, some that produce little islands that you can trade with, some that just really exploit the sailing by having multiple boats, and I think that this is just a fantastic system. It also plays extremely well in the solo mode, changing up how the action system works and providing interesting scenarios in this cute little scenario book. In addition, there's a new expansion, I think it's called Keepers of the Lighthouse or something like that, that's going to be released soon, that's going to offer a 16 mission solo campaign, and I cannot wait to dive into that. It sounds fantastic. So that is my number 72, Imperial Settlers Empires of the North. My number 71, the last game on this list, is Caverna the Cave Farmers. Now, this did come in at 36 last year. It has you playing as a fantasy race of some sort with the expansion, or dwarfs if you just play the base game, and you are going to be farming and creating your own dwellings through a great worker placement system. Now, each season, the action board is going to grow with new spaces, offering new abilities and new things to do with your farm. But you'll be growing and placing tiles all over the place. You can plant plants, you can get animals, and my favorite thing about this game is the exploration mechanism. So during the game, you can actually craft weapons for your dwarfs, and when you do so, you'll spend some ore and you'll put one of these little tokens on top of them. With that token, you can go on adventures and bring back all sorts of loot, which is really neat because you can get specific resources and even level up, so where you come back with actual furnished buildings. It's so interesting and so fun, and I love the way that it works. There's so many different paths to choose from, and the game actually has all sorts of building that are laid out that you can pick from very very first turn, so you can pretty much take any strategy you feel, and I love that about this. You have so much choice, so much freedom, and the Forgotten Folk expansion I think is a must. It's going to change the way that you as a faction play. You may be a character that eats rocks instead of food. You may be a character that really just cares about the farm and doesn't even care about the mountains. You can really pick and choose how you want to play the game based on this faction that you pick. In addition to the faction, you also get personalized tiles that come with each of the new characters, so it changes up the buildings that are available in the game, and any player can use these new buildings, so it changes the total combination of the tiles just available to everyone based on the combination of characters and types of races that you use. I love how this opens up the game, the new types of vegetables and rooms it introduces, the new strategies available. This is fantastic. So, fantastic game, great resource accumulation, great worker placement, great choice, a fantastic experience overall. That is Caverna, the Cave Farmers, my number 71. And that's the list. Those are my 80 through 71 on my top 100 board games of all time, the 2022 edition. If you have any questions about any of the games that I talked about here, please let me know down in the comments below. What do you think about the games on this list? Do any of them make your top 100? Do you think any of these need to be further up, or do you think they should be off the list altogether? I'd love to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching SideGame Strong.